Hey guys, welcome to another weekly-ish wrap-up. I think it's probably been 2 weeks or so since my last video. It's been a while. I haven't done a ton of reading. I read a few books, and then this isn't even all of them really. I DNF'd a bunch of books, and I'm currently doing a library experiment kind of thing, an experiment with my library books that I'm maybe doing a whole video for. I'm filming one. We'll see if it actually gets put out there. But so I've been reading bits of books, but I haven't been really in the mood to read. I did get some done though, so let's talk about these. I feel like I'm missing some though. Well, let me just double check my Goodreads. Okay, yeah, I guess I only actually finished 4 books. In the last, or 2 weeks ago, we got another foster care placement, so we now have more kids than we've ever had before, and so that's definitely affected my reading. I haven't been sleeping, kind of related to that, but like also kind of not related to that. So just reading has been harder. I've been starting a lot of books and not finishing them, so I want to tell you about the books that I did read, and then I'll talk about the books I DNF'd. So let's just go in this random order here. The first one I read is Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. So this is from his Reckoners trilogy. This is the first book, and I went into it with low expectations because I really haven't heard a whole lot of great things about this. This one is a world, well, I mean, it's in this world. There are these people called epics that have started to emerge, and they're like superhuman people. They seem to have like superpowers, but every epic has a weakness. And at the beginning of this book, our main character David is telling a story of something that happened 10 years ago. His father ended up being killed by an epic in this, they were in a bank, but David saw Steelheart, the epic that ended up killing his father, bleed. So he wants to take down Steelheart, and he tries to get into this group called the Reckoners, who are assassinating different epics, and he wants to get into the group to kill Steelheart. And I did a complete spoilery vlog for this book over on Patreon, so I'm not going to go into it a whole lot. I was kind of feeling like I was interested in the storyline, but kind of, it felt like it was missing that like Sanderson oomph that he gives to his books. I felt like the characters were a little bit dull, etc. Wasn't really enjoying it. And then like the last, well, it's part 4, but it was really like the last fifth of the book or so. I feel like there were so many things revealed that I personally didn't see coming. Other people apparently have, but I didn't see coming, and so therefore I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it, I think I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. That might be a little bit high, but I felt like that ending, I wanted to bump it up. It wasn't just a 4-star, so I gave 5 stars. I mean, the star ratings are kind of abstract. I shared a blog post on the weekend with some memes. I like sharing book memes, especially on the weekends. There was one that I came across that was, well, I guess it wasn't really a meme, but it was just talking about how this person that wrote, like made this meme rates books. And for me as well, it's really just on my enjoyment level. I'm not really taking apart the writing or a whole lot. I just, if I really enjoyed it, I'm gonna give it 5 stars. And I didn't like really enjoy the entire book, but I really enjoyed the ending. So that's when I decided to rate it 5 stars. It doesn't really matter. Okay, another one that I read, this was a really quick one, is One for the Murphys. So we get this, I think it's like a quarterly newsletter magazine for foster care, and this book was recommended in there, and it is about a 12-year-old girl, I think. Yeah, she's 12. She goes into foster care for the first time, and it's about her experience in this home. And I believe I read this like the first few days that we had our new placement. I believe so. Oh man, that feels like a lifetime ago, not just 2 weeks ago. And this one had me tearing up. This one was definitely a 5-star read. The main character in here deals with some, I don't know, she's surprised by this family. She kind of keeps waiting for things to fall apart. She is dealing with some stuff with her birth family. Like, yeah, this was really good, and I got my daughter to read it right after, and she read it within 24 hours as well. Also gave it 5 stars. So I definitely recommend this one. They do take the Lord's name in vain quite a few times, or definitely more in here than needs to be. But I told my daughter going in to skim over that, like, don't worry about that part, but like get to the story, because I think the story is worth it, and it definitely is. And I finally picked up Amari and the Night Brothers. I think I've requested this book like a number of times, either on ebook or audiobook or from the library. Now I finally actually got to it. So this is a middle grade fantasy story. It's very Harry Potter-esque. There's times when I was reading it where I was thinking, oh yeah, like this reminds me of Harry Potter. Not in a way like, oh, they ripped this off from Harry Potter, but there's definitely some Harry Potter vibes. So our main character, Amari, her brother went missing, I think like 6 months ago or so, and she's having a tough time in school as a result because kids keep saying mean things. She goes to a, I think she has a scholarship to a school. And so she feels like she's not really, well, she isn't wanted there. It's not like she just feels like it. She really isn't. And she, oh, how much can I say? I generally try to keep things like spoilery free and to like the 50-page mark. Yeah. Okay. I can tell you this. Okay. So it's the last day of school. She gets suspended and like kicked out from her school. And she goes home and she ends up getting nominated for this summer camp from somehow by her brother who has been missing for 6 months. And she goes to the summer camp and it turns out it's like a super natural summer camp in the way that like she has to put these eye drops in before she goes, and she can see like a lady who's actually a witch, and she can see the disguises, like it can uncover people's disguises. I don't really know how to describe it. And so then she ends up being at this summer camp and trying to figure out what her kind of internship will be, what she will be doing. I don't really know what to say exactly, but I really enjoyed it. I think I gave this one 5 stars on Goodreads too. Also a lot of fun. Definitely looking forward to book 2. A lot of Harry Potter vibes, and I think that's in a good way. Like, it gave me a lot of the, I didn't love Harry Potter, let me just say that, but it gave me the whole like friendship vibes, and there's like a bad guy that you have to defeat, and yeah, there's just a lot of things that reminded me of Harry Potter. And her roommate, when she finds out what her roommate is, I love that she was willing to stick with her, and I just like their relationship. And then the last book that I actually finished is Wolf by Wolf. So this one was, I picked out of my jar. So over on Patreon, I'm letting people give me suggestions on books that I should read. And this is the first one that I pulled out of the jar. And I had so much fun with this. I finished this yesterday, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get to the library today to pick up book 2 to continue reading. So this is an alternate history. We're set in 1956. Germany and like the Axis powers have won the war. So there is a race that goes from Germany to Japan on motorcycle. And at that ball at the end of the race, that is the only time that Hitler ever comes out of his house anymore, makes a public appearance, because there's been too many assassination attempts on his life. And so our main character, her plan is to impersonate someone that won last year's race, and she was in a concentration camp when she was younger, and she went through some scientific experiments, I guess. They took this Jewish girl, and this is alternate history, also like science fiction, because they got her skin to change to white and her hair to turn to blonde, but in the process somehow she became a skin shifter. She can look at a picture and assume that face and do these different things with her body to make herself look different, which is a really cool part of the book. I really enjoy that. And so she is going to take the face of this person that has entered the race and try to win the race so she can go to the ball so she can kill Hitler. And that is the whole point of the book. And that's not spoilery. Like, you find that all out right near the beginning. And this is just the race, pretty much, is what this book is. And it took me a long time to get into this book, but I think that was more like life circumstance, being exhausted, etc., and not anything to do with the book. Yesterday when I was finishing it, I couldn't turn the pages fast enough. I think I actually only gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. I might change that to 5, I don't know. That was just because my enjoyment level at the beginning was lower, but I don't think that had to do with the book. I think that had to do with life. And this is a duology, so I have book 2 requested from the library. I need to pick it up today so I can keep going. Definitely recommend this one. I enjoyed this a lot. And then I have 4 books here that I DNF'd, and I feel like for the most part, well, I'll get into each of them. The first one was American Royals. I kind of wanted, oh, this is another alternate history one, so I wanted to like this one because of that. Is a world where instead of going with presidents, America decided to continue with having kings and the royal line continuing, and here we are, like, I think present day, but obviously there's still kings and queens, and then we are following the next queen to be. And I knew this was is YA. I knew it was going to be like heavy on the YA-ness of it all, and I just got to the point where I was over that. Our main character, her name is Beatrice, actually. I quite enjoyed her. It was more her sister and all the other characters going on, her brother, her sister, and then her sister's best friend are the four main characters we flip between. There was just kind of too much like what felt like high school drama, although I think, are they still in high school? They might even be outside of high school, but it felt like high school drama going on between those, and I just wasn't really interested, which is too bad because I've heard people have a lot of fun with this book and I wanted to have a lot of fun with it, but I didn't. So I decided to DNF this one. One that I was having a lot of fun with is Aurora Rising. This reminded me a lot of like the Skyward series, where in a world where people are traveling from Earth to space, to different planets, and one of our main characters has just woken up from like a 300-year sleep. Her ship got lost in space, and we've got other characters. They're part of like a flight crew. I really, really, really enjoyed the story behind this. There's some things going on kind of like in the government that are sketchy. I really wanted to follow the storyline, but the problem is we are following 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different characters. Every chapter is a different character. I didn't feel like we got to know the characters enough before we were flipping back and forth between them. And then the YA-ness of it all just got to the too much for me. I was like halfway through probably. I really wanted to enjoy this, but every character has a crush on every other character, or they're constantly making jokes to each other, like sexual jokes, and it was to the point where I felt like I wanted to read it to figure out the ending. I still need to look it up online because I don't actually know how this book or the trilogy ends. I want to know the ending, but I didn't feel like I could really recommend the book, so why am I continuing to read it? So I just decided to quit it. I would kind of like to read someone else like rewriting this story without a lot of that content, and it would be an excellent book. Possibly even better than the Skyward storyline, honestly. Then I also ended up DNFing Midsummer Night's Dream. I was doing this one with Karina. She's doing a battle of the books, and just with kind of like the life shift, didn't have the brain power to continue this. So this is A Midsummer Night's Dream in manga form, which is really cool because I did read Act 1, Scene 1. The pictures actually really helped me to understand the story, but this is the original text, so that's excellent. I am very glad that they did that, but it just got to the point where I couldn't use my brain power for this, so unfortunately I didn't finish it. And then there's also that part of me that's like, I'm 30 some years old. Do I want to be spending my time reading Shakespeare? I kind of don't think so, but maybe somebody can convince me that it would be worth my time, but at this point I don't think so. And then my last DNF was Kindred. I was all for the science fiction vibes, and this one really had me interested because we follow a black woman who all of a sudden starts traveling back in time, and she doesn't really know what's going on, and she just kind of keeps disappearing randomly in her life and ending up in a different time period. So she's going back to, I don't remember exactly the time. I think it was just before the KKK started. So obviously a very dangerous time to be a black woman, and there's a few different reasons I quit it, mostly because I felt like her character wasn't very developed. Maybe it will be as we go along, but I honestly just didn't really care about her, and I needed to care about her as she was traveling back and forth in time. And then second, I felt like maybe she is a tougher woman than me, but I feel like even as myself, but never mind if I was a black woman, I would have been terrified to be brought back to the time period that she is. I feel like she was a little bit too strong and vocal and in your face to these white men, where I would be like, yeah, no, I know what would happen to me. Like, I'm going to hide and be quiet. And I just felt like I was cringing for her because I didn't want something to happen to her. At the same time, I didn't really care because I didn't care about her character, but I felt like she was making some stupid choices. Like, this isn't the way to change history, to get yourself killed instantly. Yeah, so that's too bad. I really do want to read more science fiction, alternate history, but I tried a whole bunch of books actually this month, and some of them I only read like the first page and it was just like not that interesting to me, so I didn't put it on my official DNF. The ones that I DNF'd I got a decent chunk through, but I want to find more. But I feel like science fiction seems to be lacking in the character side of things. The writers spend so much time writing their science fiction world that they forget about the characters. That's how it feels, and I need both to really work. So there's a very big rundown on the different books that I've read in the last while. Only finished 4 and DNF'd at least 4 there. The problem is August I don't have a huge TBR, which is great. I want to mood read, but it's also, I feel like maybe making me read less, definitely so far. Is it just the TBR? I'm not sure. There's also obviously other things going on in life, but I think it is better for me to have a big TBR and then not read all the books instead of having a small TBR and then definitely not reading very much. But yeah, you live and learn. Let me know something that you've read lately that you enjoyed and how your TBR, how that works for you. Do you like having TBR? Do you stick to it? Is it better for you to mood read? I'm kind of curious to hear your answers.